this session. And Ryan, I'm giving it to you, man. Take it away, and floor's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Evan. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate everybody coming out tonight for this presentation. Just a great job by USTA Middle States and Evan for putting on the tennis conference. It's been great. Over the last week, I've seen a lot of really great presentations, and hopefully I can give you some valuable information tonight that you can take back to your own clubs, own facilities, own CTAs about my presentation called Blazing a Trail, the Art of Innovative Tennis Events During COVID and Beyond. And there's a lot maybe to digest there, but it's a unique year, obviously, for everybody in the world and everything that we're dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak and everything and the pandemic. But it's been also a year of opportunity. And with that, I want to start here with a little bit of a word play. And I know we don't have any audio here, anybody that can come in and say, what does this say? But if you look at this for a second and you take a look at this word play, there's a couple ways to look at it. You can look at this and you can say, okay, it says opportunity is nowhere. That's one way. Or you could also look at this word play and the way I look at it, and it says opportunity is now here. And it's a great way to look at not only things in tennis, not only things in our industry, but also a great way to look at life, looking at the glass half full as opposed to glass half empty. And it's really the way that I try to approach everything in my mindset and everything that I do, and looking at the opportunity in something. And this year, when everything was shut down, March, April, May, there was a lot of people on the sidelines, a lot of people wondering, a lot of people guessing, a lot of people not really wanting to be the first one out of the gates to try to do something and try to be innovative. And that's something that I've tried to preach and be a part of, in everything that we do on the court, whether that's as a tournament director, as a coach, as a president of our organization, trying to be cutting edge in everything that we do, trying to be very innovative. And that's something that I've tried to bring to the table, not just locally and at the sectional level, but also I've presented as well at the national level with our USTA Adult Competition Committee, and talking about innovative tournaments and being able to talk about how to bring unique events, tournaments, things like that to your club. So that's what I hope to share with you today. As Evan had mentioned, I wear a lot of hats, a lot of different things as a coach, as a tournament director, as the president of Conrad Weiser Tennis Association, and also a very proud member of the USTA Middle States Board of Directors, as well as the Adult Competition Committee with USTA National. So really excited today, and I want to start here with a quote. It says, "Do not go where the path may lead, rather go where there is no path and blaze a trail." And what I mean by that is anybody, and I'll talk about this a lot tonight, anybody can run a tournament, anybody can go out and put on a tournament or an event. But the biggest thing and kind of the secret that I like to share with everybody, it's about the experience. It's about really engaging the players. It's about engaging people and giving them something that's unique and something that they don't always see. It's not a cookie cutter event. And that's something that I try to bring to every one of our events. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about that throughout my presentation today. I'm going to definitely, if you have any questions or comments or anything, go ahead and throw those up in the chat, and we'll answer those throughout the presentation and definitely at the end. But I'm really looking forward to this and kind of first telling my story and my journey really about this summer from the end of May and beginning of June all the way through August, and directing tennis tournaments and tennis events at all different levels during the COVID-19 pandemic. The first thing I had started back in the end of May, beginning of June. We knew we were going to go as a county with Berks County, PA, and that's where we're located, right outside of Reading, Pennsylvania, kind of between Reading and Lebanon, kind of right in Kathy Schock's neck of the woods here, right up next to her. But we knew that once it was safe to do so in our yellow phase here in Pennsylvania, once the governor put Berks County back, that we wanted to really be the first to bring tennis back as a very safe sport that can be played, even during a pandemic if if the protocols were done correctly, and that's something that I'll talk about as well, is safety protocols and understanding that nothing is bulletproof. It's certainly in the time in the society that we're in today with this pandemic, but there are a lot of different things that you can do safety-wise to ensure safety. So I'll talk about that and how we did that with our Comeback Classic tournament that was played in the first week in June, and I'll go through that. And then that evolved into a series of events that lasted all summer long. It was very successful here in Berks County in Central PA. From there, we branched out. The idea really got legs, and through some of my various connections nationally, we were able to put 2 national events out, one down in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a good friend of mine, Jeremy Spiker, who's a Middle States guy. Some of you might know his name and might know him. He's a good buddy of mine. And then also at something called the Court of Dreams in Charles City, Iowa, which is one of the most unique tennis courts in the nation. And I will talk about that a little bit later and how I came to get connected with Mark Kewen there and really put on something special and really set the stage to continue that great relationship with the people at the All Iowa. And then finally, an event that, again, really we wanted to swing for the fences. It was the first pro tennis event in Berks County history. It was called the Lotto Elite Pro Tennis Challenge. And we had 2 main draw US Open players in the event, as well as 6 other world ranked players. And that event was put together in 3 weeks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how all these things kind of were conceptualized and put together. And then I really want to dive in, really the second half of this presentation, after I kind of tell my story, is I want to talk about what drives innovative tennis events. What's that special? What's that secret sauce? What gets people engaged, coming out, wanting to play tournaments that are either one day, half day, innovative format, innovative surface, things like that. Also, essential characteristics to growing events. What is the difference between just putting on a tennis tournament versus making it an experience and making it something that people want to come back for year after year? And then finally, how can you bring those type of events, innovative tennis events, to your club or facility? Whether you're an indoor club, whether you're an outdoor club, whether you're a CTA, whatever you are encompassed in the tennis, high school even, whatever you're encompassed in the world of tennis, I'm sure some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight will be able to help you bring events very simply and efficiently to the club or to the courts or wherever your facility is, and be able to grow tennis through competition, both socially and competitively. And then we'll have some questions and collaboration here at the end. Really excited tonight, guys, to be presenting for you. So with that, I'm going to get started and kind of just tell a little bit about my story and go through where it was. Obviously, I've been running tournaments now for about 7 or 8 years. A lot of innovative events throughout the Middle States region. I also have my big tournament, which I'm not going to really focus on a lot tonight, but it's worth noting. It's called Hits for Hope. It's the largest tennis tournament in Pennsylvania. 230 to 300 players each year, 34 draws, and we raise money for different charities. We're in our 9th year. This would have been our 10th year, but that event really showed me what it takes to run a all-inclusive tennis event, 7 days, 300 players, 34 draws, and you learn a lot when you kind of put your feet right on the fire and you're right there. And you have to make quick decisions, and you learn a lot. And I started out when I was 22 years old. I'm 32 now. So it's really been giving me the opportunity to kind of see everything and be part of what that is at a decently high level throughout the last 10 years. So that's really helped me. And it really helped set the stage for this, which was our Comeback Classic. Like I said, our industry, our world was really shut down in March. Everybody, nothing from Pro Tour all the way down to amateur play was shut down. We weren't doing anything for March, April, and May. We kind of get into May, and we obviously start to see the safe reopenings and the different things that the governor had put out. And about that time, I realized, well, if somebody's going to do something, it's probably going to be me, and we're going to have to do it, and we're going to have to do it in a way that we can still have people that can enjoy tennis both visually, and that also allows these players to participate in a safe event. So we came up with the idea, and again, it's unique name, the Comeback Classic. So we're making a comeback from being completely shut down. with the pandemic. So we scheduled right off the bat, and I remember calling and telling Middle States, talking to Ben Zislis, talking to some other people, saying, hey, we're going to put on tennis here in Berks County literally the day after we go into the yellow phase from the red phase with the pandemic protocol. And that's what we did. And we realized we had to do a couple things. Number one, as I have on there, we had to control the narrative. We couldn't have an open draw. It was an invite-only, high-level tournament for 8 players. So we had all players from 4-5 to 5-5 playing in this event. And each of those players, and we realized we couldn't just do a single elimination to have these guys come out for one day. They need to have multiple matches. So we proposed a 2-day innovative format. I'm a big proponent, if people know what the Fast Four scoring is, and being able to play it's very similar to an 8-game pro set, but playing 2 Fast Four sets to 4, win by 2 with a 10-point match tiebreaker. And we just grouped our players in 2 groups of 4, and they ended up round robining and having each of the top 2 players from each group then going into a semifinal and final on day 2 with 2 out of 3 sets in those matches. The big thing that we wanted to do with this event, the men's event on the 5th and 6th, and also the women's event the next weekend, was we wanted to get people back on the tennis court and also get people watching live tennis. And the Comeback Classic was the first Pennsylvania since the pandemic hit that first weekend on the 5th and 6th, all sports. And what we did was we partnered with a local company here called Small Player Big Play. It's owned by a gentleman by the name of Bruce Badgley. And he's a good friend of mine, and he has an app, a streaming app, and you're able to put the fence mounts up on the fence, put your camera, your phone, your GoPro up there, and you mount it, and you press play, and now you have live tennis streamed on this app for people to watch. We charged $1 a day, which essentially covered the streaming fee, and we also had a live broadcaster that was able to broadcast both courts. It was really important. We had in the whole series, we had over 600 people log on to watch 5 different tournaments, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And the safety protocols. Obviously, we couldn't do COVID testing, but we were able to do temperature checks. No live spectators for this first event. We called it the Hinterlands. It was out north of Kutztown at a 2-court clandestine location with lights, beautiful 2-court facility that was a USTA national grant recipient in 2018, and it was perfect to play tennis really in the middle of nowhere. We garnered major local media attention, all the newspapers, the TV, the radio, social media was huge. And those are big things when you're trying to put on a tennis event of any kind, trying to brand them on social media, brand it with good media attention. So, we were able to do this, and it was a huge, huge success, these first 2 events. And as you can see here, we tennis in our area, it never really makes the front page of the paper. It's lucky if you get an article on tennis here and there. And over the last 4 or 5 months, we've had more tennis on the front page of the paper, on the news and everything than we've had in the last 10 years. And this really showed, because it was the only thing going on in sports, that tennis could be played safely and effectively within a pandemic. So that was the front page of the article, the first event, the Comeback Kid, and it was a great event with our champion and finalists for the men and also for the women. And like you can see up there, the TV and the media were out multiple times, 3, 4 times. I was on TV 6, 7, 8 days in a row, and it was tennis actually became the #1 news story in the whole region. Because nobody had anything else going on. People were really just hungry for content, and we were able to bring it to them in a really unique way. It was such a popular thing after those first 2 events. The players, the people watching, the media said, "What's next?" So we did a unique deal. That's myself and Bruce Badgley down there in the bottom left-hand corner. We cut a deal with Small Player Big Play to put on the Comeback Classic Series, and it was over $4,000 in prize money, men's and women's events. We did the live streaming all summer long, and what we did was we said we still have to control the narrative with the players. We can't have a huge field. So we took 12 players, and we played a point series. And those 12 players were the only 12 for the men, and then the women, we had 8 spots to play for 4 based on the availability of the quality of players we were looking for, and they played in this series. And what we did was we utilized a lot of unique surfaces and venues. Not only did we have our first comeback classic, we then played on Hard True, which was down at the bottom at Berks County Tennis Club, which was a phenomenal event, really a great venue for tennis. We then went to Hamden Park, the home of Core Tennis, and we had an event under the lights on 4th of July, the weekend just before the 4th of July, called the Summer in the City Comeback Classic. Again, a unique venue, under the lights, fireworks going off in the background from the city. Really just a neat place. We were able to capture that online as well, and even had the news reporting live from Hamden Park, their 5:30 newscast. The sports was up there doing live broadcasts. And then the final one was the culmination of our series. It was the kind of like the end of a Masters series, the championship. The top 8 players were invited. It was called the King of Clay and the Queen of Clay. And the King of Clay was played, and I'll go through this in a little bit, on a red clay surface, and the Queen of Clay back on Hard True. But the unique thing we did was we wanted to up the ante for that final, really give incentive for those players and really give incentive as a championship, a heavyweight kind of championship match. So we made the final for the men a best-of-5 set final. We doubled the prize money. Here's just an overview of what that looked like of our series. Again, when you're trying to do tournaments, you're trying to do any type of event, you really want to make sure you can tell the story, and not only tell it, but show the story. So that's what these unique branding and visuals were able to do, and very neatly and effectively outline in a very compact way, market these events, show what they were, where they were. It was the who, what, when, where, and how, and really what was going on. And this really helped people follow it, and also really gave the players an opportunity to get amped up for each event, where it wasn't the same old stale tennis event every couple weekends. As I talked about, we had our Clay Court Comeback Classic, and each of these I have a little bullet point, which was important. So the live streaming, anybody can do this, and I'd love to, if anybody wants to use the Small Player Big Play app, it's really great for not only tournament events, but also for college coaches to be able to, if you have a player in a tournament or event, log on and watch that player live or on replay. And it's that easy just to put up a fence. We have a fence mount that gets sold. It's called MD Sports Mounts, and it's sold at Frometh Tennis, and a lot of other places have these mounts. And you just put your cell phone in there, you press play, you turn it on the court, and you play your match, and it's live streamed. So we were able to really utilize that and captivate an audience of, like I said, over 600 people over 6 different events with the Comeback Classic, and then our national events, unique providers. So that was really something unique. It was a win-win for the app. The app was a brand new service that was just put out at the beginning of the year. And under normal circumstances, we wouldn't have had a live streaming app jump on board as the title sponsor for our event. But the fact that AAU basketball, baseball, everything else got canceled, tennis was it. And it really showcased our game, and it gave us the ability to grow the game in a time when nothing else was going on. So the Clay Court was a very unique event. People loved watching Clay Court tennis, and it was something different than the first event, which was on hard court. From there, we went to the Summer in the City. As I talked about, we had a live broadcast from 69 News here in Reading and Lehigh Valley. And we did this points series. And the points series was very, great, because it wasn't just one event, it was 4 different events. So the players were really just amped up to come out each event, scratch and claw, whether it was in their round robin matches or their semi or final matches, to try to get every kind of points possible to play in the, to get into the series finale. And what that series finale was something called the King of Clay and the Queen of Clay. There's a gentleman, a good friend of mine, his name's Dr. Mark Abel, up in Orwigsburg, Pennsylvania. And we weren't originally scheduled to go up to Orwigsburg, but he called me about 2 weeks before and said, hey, I'd love to get something on my red clay court. And he's one of the few people that has an authentic Terre Battue French Open red clay court, just like you'd see at Roland Garros, in his backyard. It's manicured. As you can see, it's a beautiful setting. I know Mike Gladys was up there, took some drone footage, took some pictures, and that's going to be featured in, I believe, the next upcoming edition of Net Play. But we were able to work together with Mark to really put on a first-class championship event environment. Limited spectators for that event, 25 or fewer. The players really had to socially distance. We had the viewing with the Small Player Big Play. And again, we had great media coverage. That's from the Pottstown Republican Herald, front page of the entire paper, the day of the tournament, called the King of Clay. And it was just great. But again, looking at how that relates to tournament directing, we were able to capture a very unique surface. People got excited, whether you were watching it, whether you were playing, whether you were helping out. People just wanted to come see red clay court tennis. And then we upped the ante even more, and we made it a best-of-5 set final. Nobody's playing best-of-5 sets currently, really outside of majors. But we said, hey, we're going to double the prize money. The men's championship match will be best-of-5 sets after we did our round robin on day one. So we played on a Friday. We gave the guys off on Saturday, and we came back on the final. And it just so happens it ended up raining. It was a long 4-set match. We ended up going over 2 days. But people are going to remember that for a really long time because it was the culmination of something that shouldn't have even happened. In a normal year, we're running tournaments, USTA events, UTR, Hits for Hope. I'm usually in Europe for most of the summer after those events. This was something unique. It was one of a kind, and we did it very safely and very effectively by offering a very unique setup and giving people, it really gave people, I had people calling and texting and emailing, thank you for doing this. This is great for tennis. This is really great just to watch, just to see great tennis out there. And that was really fulfilling. But again, it's being able to give back to the game and doing so in a way that was unique. It wasn't just 5 hard court tournaments or 5 clay court tournaments. Everything was new and fresh and innovative. And that's what captured everybody's attention, from players to spectators to media. The other thing we did that was really neat, and again, anytime you can tie in any kind of historical perspective or anything that's unique to your area, do so. And whether that's awards or location. So an example here, and you can see up in the left-hand corner, we played up in Orwigsburg, Pennsylvania, up right off the Berks County line near Schuylkill County. And it's well known for the Muhammad Ali training camp. It's one of the most world famous places that Muhammad Ali trained. The Beatles were here. Elvis Presley was there. So many different people came to this training camp right up in Orwigsburg. It's less than 2 miles from where our clay court King of Clay final was. And I said, let's bring this together and let's do our championship trophy presentation. Let's do our media and everything at the camp after the tournament. And the people up at the training camp were great. They opened up the facility. We got into the boxing ring. We did media availability. We did interviews. And we were able to really, again, it brings something outside of just tennis. It brings an experience. For the players, it was once in a lifetime to be able to put that event on and then go to such a unique and hallowed place, but then also to kind of bridge the gap between tennis and boxing. It was just a very neat experience and something that not only the players, but the media really jumped on board and really gave us a lot of great press. And people were very, just loved seeing the photographs and seeing a unique ending and a unique place, offered with it just wasn't handing out awards on a tennis court and going from there. No, we ended up doing it and taking it to the next level with the Ali training camp. From there, and again, as this whole thing's evolving, it's a lot of people are reaching out to me along the East Coast, a lot of different places. And one of those is my good friend, Jeremy Spiker. He owns the Prosperity Athletic Club. It's a 12-court hard true facility down in right outside of Lake Norman in Charlotte. And he called me up. We got on the phone, and within a week or two, we had taken the Comeback Classic idea national. We had 2 national events. The first one was here in Charlotte at his club, and it was a prize money event. Small player, big play, came on board again, put up all the prize money. And we also took a bunch of our Berks County players down there. The 3 guys, Kaushik Das, Andre Fick, Danny Trefoy. Our play-by-play man, who was Don Hutchinson, he came down to do it, all the streaming on the app. But we wanted to kind of take it to the next level. We said we have 12 courts, and this is where we wanted to change format again. We made it a UTR event. So what that did, we opened it up. Men and women could play. We had UTRs from 13.5 all the way down to about 7.5. And what we did was we played 64 players. And you're thinking, okay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We grouped them effectively. We had 16 groups of 4 players play throughout the day, starting at 8 a.m. and finishing at about 11 o'clock at night. The first matches that we played on that first day were fast four matches, and only the winner of that first group of each of the groups advanced. So we had 16 groups, and what that did was that sent us right into day 2. The 16 group winners advanced, and then we had a B, a C, and a D draw that we were able to offer multiple matches on day 2 or 3 of the tournament. So we go from multiple formats. We go fast four on day 1, 2 out of 3 sets on day 2. Those top 16 players remained in the main draw, which was the money draw. And then we ended up going all the way down to the D draw. And the neat thing about this was, number one, we were socially distancing, 12 courts, multiple groups, shut down the clubhouse. We had everything spread out. We did temperature checks. We had waiver forms. That was very important to have an assumption of risk form. But we were able to bring a lot of people together. We had former professional players that were world ranked in the draw. We had high school players that were in the draw. But utilizing the UTR format, we were able to appropriately, after that first day, get them into certain draws. And it was very unique to see the UTR levels fit together as easily as they did. We had a woman that was ranked 318 in the world play. We had a high school player that was headed to Clemson, and she was a 4-time state champion from South Carolina. So it really was encompassing of all kinds of players of all levels, from a 7.5 to a 13.5. And they got value out of the event. They all played minimum 2 or 3 matches over multiple days. And this event, it culminated with, again, a full 4-flight back draw and applying multiple levels. We potted the players, as I talked about. That was our men's final. It ended up 10-8 in the third set. Robbie Mudge, kind of the prodigal son from down in Charlotte, had played at NC State, beat a Pennsylvania guy, a good friend of mine, Chad Kissel, in the final. Just a great event that was all broadcast. We had two show courts with broadcast capability, and then the other matches were all played on the facility, as you could see down below, over the 12 hard true courts over 3 days. So big success. It showed, and it continued to show throughout the entire series. And then at Charlotte, that we could put on events, whether it's 8 players or 64, by following our safety protocols, by staying organized and effectively grouping the players, that you could put events on safely with temperature checks, waiver forms, masking, and doing all those things, that it was effective. We took a complete 180 then, and as they said at the Field of Dreams, if you ever saw the famous movie Field of Dreams, to going the distance. And that was where our next event was, and that was out at a very unique court, and it's called the Court of Dreams in Charles City, Iowa, by a gentleman by the name of Mark Kewen. And you say, well, how do you get to Iowa from Pennsylvania? Trying to stick along that innovative track, we knew we had Charlotte. I wanted to add another event, and a lot of the places that have grass in Philly or Delaware, anywhere, they were private clubs. They didn't want to host any grass court events, even a small compartmentalized 8 or 10 player draw. I knew of this place for a number of years out in Charles City, and I realized that, why not take a shot and go for it? So I called Mark Kewen up on the phone one day, and I say, hey, Mark, I told him who I was, what we were about. And I said, let's do something really, really special if you don't have anybody. And he didn't have a lot of people playing at his court. It's a 1-court facility at his house in the middle of the cornfields. And the unique thing is, it was the only ryegrass Wimbledon replica tennis court in North America, in the United States. The other very neat thing with him was he actually had worked as a groundskeeper over at the All England Club and at Wimbledon. And he actually had a 10-minute feature story. Again, how media really can drive things, and social media can really put stories out and tell stories. A 10-minute story that the All England Club had been working on for about a year, released 1 week after we cut the deal for this Court of Dreams Comeback Classic. So within 1 week, we go from having this nice event in the middle of the cornfields to now him receiving 200 to 300 emails a day from all over the world. This Wimbledon video, this 10-minute feature on his court and his story, getting over 100,000 views on the website and on social media. And now everybody's coming together. The Iowa, the newspaper there, the Des Moines Register, which is their state newspaper, kind of like our Philly Inquirer, did a feature story on it. Madison Keys, which I'll talk about in a second, who's from the Quad Cities. We had contact with her and her agent. She wanted to get involved. So there was a lot of different really neat things. that were involved in this. We took it to the next level, and we made a major announcement down at Frometh Tennis, as you can see there on the right. And we jumped on board with Lotto. And Lotto has been a great sponsor for us. I'm a Lotto ambassador, and really wanted to take that brand and utilize it and really take a great, innovative, up-and-coming tennis brand worldwide and jump on board with us for the Court of Dreams Comeback Classic. We had media, we had social media, we had people calling in and dialing in for media from Iowa. So it's just a very unique event at this All Iowa Lawn Tennis Club. And it was just a great ability to kind of going from the Midwest and Middle States and bringing that together. What that ended up being was the Court of Dreams Comeback Classic. We had a 2-day event. We drove out. We had 4 guys from Middle States, 3 of the guys that had played in the Comeback Classic, and then also Chad Kissel from out in Latrobe, PA. And we all drove out and played an 8-player draw. Again, that same format, fast 4 on day 1, grouped in 2 groups, Group 1 and Group 2. And then the champion and the finalists from each of those groups would advance to day number 2, which was 2 semifinals and then a championship 2 out of 3 set final. As you can see, it was very unique with the Wimbledon setup there and how he was able to encompass that. Beautiful. We had a crop duster do like an informal flyover randomly before the first match. And we had 4 players from Middle States. They brought 4 really great players from the Midwest, a former player from Ohio State, and a couple other guys that had some pro points that had played as well to jump into this event. But again, it was extremely unique. It's a one-off event, and it was something that was very, got a lot of great media attention, not just locally and regionally, but nationally. I talked about the Wimbledon video, but what the other thing it did, and you can see here we have our finalist Chad Kissel and our champion there. And that match ended up, we played a natural tiebreaker, 11-9 in a 3rd set. We played it out and it went the distance. The neat thing about this, as you can see, the wrought iron, very similar to Wimbledon, was Madison Keys, her agent, had reached out to myself and Mark and said, hey, I want to get involved. I want to do something. She wanted to play an exhibition at this Court of Dreams. We weren't able to do it this year, but next summer, we're going to be doing it the week after Wimbledon. It's going to be Madison Keys against one of our other top-ranked Americans in a made-for-TV event with the Tennis Channel. Out at the Court of Dreams, I'll be the event director. But again, it just shows how you can take something from the Comeback Classic in the middle of Berks County, Pennsylvania, and if you take that opportunity as now here approach, you can. It takes you to tennis can take you anywhere, and even to the top of the game. And we were able to capitalize on kind of some random opportunities with not only going to the Court of Dreams, but putting ourselves in position with the Wimbledon video. And then Madison Keys comes along, and now we have world-class tennis that's going to be able to be offered for not just next summer, but years to come, and doing a very special event with her. The last event that we did, and this is the last kind of part of our story here before I get into some of the innovative ways to host events, was something called the Lotto Elite Pro Tennis Challenge. And as we're going into Charlotte and Iowa, and all the pro events are getting canceled, the more you get connected and you start to talk to people and say, hey, there's an opportunity to, let's host some pro tennis. Let's do something with the pro guys. We've done stuff with amateurs. We've done stuff with guys that are world ranked, but maybe not at the top of the game. So I jumped on board and got a commitment with Lotto Elite here, which is based right out of here, Wyomissing, PA. And we combined and partnered to do a very unique event, an 8-player pro event right here in Berks County, PA. It was held in August, 2 weeks after the comeback, the Court of Dreams event. We literally put this event together in 3 weeks. And it really shows how tight-knit the tennis community is, whether that's local, regional, or even pro players. I was able to get in touch with a couple agents, talk to them and saying, hey, we have some cash money 2 weeks before the U.S. Open. Do any of your players want to come? And 3 of those players, Dennis Kudla, Ty Kwiatkowski, and Bradley Klon, were able to commit to the event. And unfortunately, Bradley ended up getting injured and couldn't make the trip from California. But this took it to another level, not just for tennis, but for me personally, in being able to direct my first pro tennis event. And I can tell you firsthand, we jumped in head first. it's a lot different when you're dealing with professionals than when you're playing an amateur or local or junior or adult event. But I you know, taking my years of tennis tournament directing experience, I think I was, you know, not only ready, but we had to really make sure that the safety protocols were there, and it really took it to another level because we're in the middle of a pandemic. And that's the reason, if you look at it, why we were able to do this. Never, and that's what we talked about with Lotto, and that's what we talked about. We said, hey, let's shoot for the moon here. Let's try to hit a home run, because never in a million years would we ever get to have a professional tennis tournament in Reading, PA, with main draw U.S. Open players 2 weeks before the U.S. Open. It would just be unheard of. So again, we raised about $13,000 in 2.5 weeks. Local businesses, local charities stepped up and really were able to get us the money that we needed for the prize money, to lodge the players, to transport the players. And also the big thing was the COVID testing. And I'll talk about that in a second. Our two US Open main draw players, Dennis Kudla from Arlington, Virginia, and Ty Kwiatkowski, the 2018 from UVA, the NCAA singles champion, just great guys. Had an opportunity to really talk with them the couple weeks leading up to this and really got their feedback. And I think that's a great lesson, which I'll talk about in a second, but listening to your players, whether they're world ranked players or club players. What do the players want? What do they expect? What are they looking for? It's about listening and not always about doing when you're directing, trying to give the players what they want. As I said, we raised $13,000, and we also put this on. This is think, well, where do you have such an event? We put this on in a backyard of the Emke family, which is a very well-known tennis family in Berks County. David works for Lotto Elite, and he offered up his parents, along with his parents' blessing, Dr. Ronald and Judy Emke, their backyard. They have a beautiful U.S. Open hard court in the back of their house. Very nice surroundings in Wyomissing, which is a very affluent area. And we were able to put on a very unique event. Same thing, Fast Four, first day, groups of 4 players. It worked all summer long. We continued that. And these guys couldn't have been more happy. We invited some, again, world-ranked players, 2 guys from Middle States that are on tour right now. Nick Bible, a good friend of mine from Lancaster, PA, and also Chad Kissel from out in Latrobe. Those guys jumped in. We had a couple other world-ranked players as well that weren't in the main draw U.S. Open, but were competing on the Challenger and Futures Tour. We even had a high school player named Michael Zhang, who is one of the top players in his age group in the 16s, was a 16s indoors national hardcourt champion out of New Jersey. And he played these guys, and he played these guys tough. So it really showed that given the opportunity, a top level nationally ranked junior can hang with players that are main draw U.S. Open. I think he played either Kudla or Kwiatkowski into a tiebreaker. So it really showed the opportunity for him. And it was great for Kudla and Kwiatkowski. These guys hadn't played professional tennis in 4 or 5 months. So to be able to come to a small venue, to be able to, number one, have the COVID testing. We did secure COVID testing from a local hospital. It was a 2-day test. We got it on a Thursday. They were cleared on Friday. We had limited spectators. We offered 25 spectators for the entire event, 12 on day 1, 12 on day 2. And then we offered on-court protocol. Our lines judges, our kids that work the umbrellas, everybody there had to mask and do appropriate on-court safety protocol. We wiped down the courts. We did everything that you could do to make this as safe as possible. From there, we also took the players right up to the U.S. Open, into the bubble. As you can see, there's our picture from the Marriott, and really just made sure that everybody was safe and everybody was taken care of, that these guys could go on to their next event at the Western and Southern, and then ultimately the U.S. Open. So again, a unique event, something that was put on within 3 weeks, but it was monumental for Berks County. We have never put on a pro event outside of our Legends exhibitions about 10 years ago. That was more exhibition, but for a pro tournament, these players had we showed them a great time. We put them up at a nice hotel. We took them, made sure they had everything, gift baskets. We took them, made sure they had proper nourishment, taking them out, getting them safely at restaurants, isolation, those things. They had such a great time, and their experience was so good that they want to come back next year, hopefully post-pandemic, and do this as a warm-up event maybe on a Monday and Tuesday before they go up to New York. They said they could train there. We gave them the opportunity to use the court whenever they wanted. So again, the experience and showing them what was, a very unfortunate situation, a great opportunity arose, and we really hit it out of the park with these pro players. And they went up to New York and told some of their other players, they went up there that talked to some of the guys that maybe didn't come to Reading. Hey, you missed a great event in Reading. We're going there next year. We want you guys to come. So that first experience, that first impression, that meant everything. And that showed them that, hey, Reading, PA can do this. We can do it on a smaller scale, and we can also do it within we have 3 weeks to plan it. Imagine what we do when we have a whole year to do next year. So very unique event, and really the highlight of my tournament directing career to put on a pro event here in my hometown of Reading, PA. So that's a little bit about the story here. The last 20 minutes, I want to just go through innovative tournaments and what's kind of the method to the madness. What's that special sauce? So this was a slide that I used for our USTA Adult National Competition Committee presentation last year at the US Open at our semi-annual meeting. What are a couple of things that you can do at your club or your facility? Number one is it's about the player experience. Unique branding, unique awards. As you can see here, some of the names of our tournaments that we do. The Turkey Tiebreaker Tournament. We give out turkeys to the winners and pumpkin pies to the finalists the week before Thanksgiving. We have up in the left corner the Cornfield Classic. We give out tractor trophies, and I've never seen anybody play as hard for a trophy as they have for the tractor trophies, because people want these tractor trophies. They caught on, and every year people want to try to come and win a tractor trophy. We have the Nutcracker Christmas Classic. We hand out nutcrackers for that event as a Christmas themed event. We have our International Wood Court. We're the only, I think, wood court event in the nation to play on indoor wood. And we've been doing that in February when there's nothing else going on. Number two is the innovative short set formats for your one-day events. So I'm a big proponent of Fast Four. I love it. 2 out of 3 sets, even the 8-game pro sets, the 10-point tiebreaker tournaments. Again, round-robining players, giving them not just one match, but giving them multiple 3-4 matches and even back draws. They want to come and play. They don't want to come and play one event and be one draw and be done. We want to give them multiple opportunities, half-day draws. Look at my generation, the millennial generation. I'm right in the middle of it. They don't want to play. Not everybody wants to play 2-3-day events. They want to play half-day events, get in, play a couple draws, and get out, and then go have social time or what have you. It's not a full day or multiple day event. The other thing is affordable prices. What we like to do, I like to host these Fast Four innovative one-day events. $20 for a singles draw, $10 for doubles, $10 for mixed. For $40, they can play 3 draws within 6 hours. They can get in, they can play a lot of different competition. They can play doubles, they can play mixed. And you get a lot of these junior players that are in the 18s. They love to play up in the adults. So it's also growing the game. They get to play college players, league players, and also it's kind of a little break for them outside of what their usual take is with just playing junior tournaments and playing the same kind of regimented draws. It's these formats really give a unique asset to and lend itself well to keeping the draws and keeping the tournaments fresh. So what drives these innovative events? Again, thinking outside the box, round robin, preliminary groups, Fast Four. We've dabbled with Fast Four, where we've played best of 5 sets, Fast Four. And if you think of that and you break down how many games that is, that's almost the equivalent of a best 2 out of 3 full match if it goes the distance. So we've done that in a couple of our Berks County events. People have loved it. They love playing the Fast Four, whether that's best of 3, best of 5, the 10-point tiebreakers, as I talked about, the creative names. It's about the experience. It's about giving them different court surfaces to play on. I host tournaments on hard courts, hard true, red clay, natural grass, omni grass, wood. It's keeping it fresh. That's the key, I think. And if you do that and you also schedule these events not on top of each other. You don't want to have multiple events back to back to back to back. Schedule things at different times of the year. Our wood court tournament is in February. Nothing is going on in February. That's the only time people would probably consider playing on wood, is when nothing else is going on, but it piques their interest. For $20, they can come out and play a singles draw on a surface they never played on before. We can play on the hard true, the red clay. We do it at different times throughout the year. Also trying to keep in mind with a tournament schedule that you have sectionally. You know, we don't want to schedule multiple events in July, August, when there's everything's going on. We want to maybe try to play some of these one-day events in September, October. We have our Oktoberfest tournament. Like I said, the wood court tournament in February. When nothing's going on, you don't want to try to play everything at one time. Let the tournaments breathe, give them the opportunity to be unique into themselves, and also really put on the events with giving the players experience really at the forefront. Because if they like it the one year, they're going to want to put that calendar on their tournament every single year, and they're going to know every February I have this tournament, every March I have this event, and it's going to be a reoccurring thing. That's what it's about. It's about the experience, and then also it's also about really gathering feedback, both positive and negative. When I'm running a tournament, okay, I really take the time to get to know the players. If there's parents there, talk to the parents. I want to know what we did good and what we did bad. And I like to hear it firsthand, okay? I'm not a big, from a tournament perspective guy, being completely transparent. I hate to hear feedback after the fact. You have a junior tournament and you get an email, well, they did this and this and this and this. Talk to us. Give us that experience. Let's talk about, because a lot of times I think when you communicate and you communicate effectively and you collaborate with people and you show them, hey, your experience at our event and your experience in what we are trying to give to you is our number one priority. They really show that really shows that you care, and it shows them that you're committed to trying to give them a first-class tournament experience every single time, and doing so in a unique way. The other way, so how do you promote these things, okay? You can put the things on Tennis Link. You can go ahead and put it on UTR, but the key thing is really being able to hit your media outlets, your social media, and make it an event. Don't just have a tournament, but make it an event, okay? Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I use Hootsuite a lot. Hootsuite's great. It covers all the platforms. I'd say 4 to 6 weeks out, really start to brand the event. 2 to 3 weeks in before, give some more social media promotions. I also have an email chain of about 10,000 emails that I have accrued from all the events throughout the years that I continuously sort through, and that we're able to put things out. So people play in one event, and now certainly they say, hey, what do you got next? What's your next event? What's your next idea? So again, it gathers a little bit of a following. And when you're able to do that, people will want to be part of something that they can have a positive experience for. They can keep it fresh. They can play multiple events. They can play multiple formats, and they're getting tractor trophies. They're getting turkeys. They're getting, at the Oktoberfest, they're getting very unique beer steins, things like that are appropriate for that level of play. And that's where I like, again, the unique ability to not just have one event and use that same format, but change it up over time and schedule those things throughout the year and maintain those dates yearly. You don't want to try, if you have an event and it's working, keep going with that event and that same date every single year. It's like Hits for Hope. When I have my Hits for Hope event, it's the same weeks. It's the third week in June every single year. People put those dates on the next day after that event's done for the following year, because they know they want to be there and they want to be part of something really, really special and play for something bigger than themselves. Looking at things pandemic-wise versus post-pandemic. So during the pandemic, what's the next 3 to 6 months? What are you looking to do? If you want to host an event, number one, you got to let the people know that things are going to be safe. And if you're at your own club, that you can appropriately put those safety protocols in place. Again, nothing is bulletproof, but temperature checks, having a waiver form, that's an assumption of risk form, and then also having hand sanitizer out, giving the players, we gave our players for all our events 1 can of balls, and they used that 1 can to serve with for all of their Fast Four matches. So they're doing that. We're taking those protocols. Not only is it effective, but it also visually gives the effect that, hey, we're taking all the precautions and we're trying to be as safe as possible here to play during a pandemic. Also, small groups and local regional play, try to push that during the pandemic, not trying to get players from outside. I know a lot of our events, we've limited the play outside of middle states. We're not allowing players outside of middle states to play in some of our sanctioned events. Again, to try to give that ability so we don't have players coming from New York. We don't have players coming from all these other places that we can safely and effectively give those players, the majority of our players coming from inside our region, the rest assurance that we're trying to keep their health and well-being at the forefront. And then also trying to, at this point, maybe do like a series of events with a similar schedule. Give people something to work towards. Not just, okay, here's an event now, but hey, we're going to do another one in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Lay that out here during the pandemic. There's not a lot going on. So if you can give people a group of events, maybe not back-to-back weekends, but over a couple weeks, whether that's an indoor event, an outdoor event here in October or even November, go ahead and do that. But if you do that, if they enjoy that first one, they're going to sign up for 2 and 3 and 4. And it's going to be, again, it's about the experience and it's about gathering and getting a following. I can't tell you how many people we do get the same people playing in these events, but we always get new people. We always get people that come on for the first time and they enjoy that first event. And then they're back for more because it was a positive experience. The last thing that I have here, my last slide before we'll take questions, is don't be afraid to step outside the box. Like I said, blazing a trail. Don't be afraid to try something different. If it works and it's great, fantastic. But don't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid in anything in tennis or in life. You can't be afraid to try something and be afraid to fail. If you're looking at something and just trying to do something different and you're trying to be innovative, that's gonna be in the long run better than if we're kind of continuously being narrow-minded and doing the same run-of-the-mill thing over and over and over again. Again, bringing the event to your facility. Change up the multiple events with the scoring format. Play Fast Four one time. Next time, maybe play a 10-point tiebreaker event. Have 3 out of 5 sets Fast Four. Play 8-game pro sets. Have a back draw in an event. The other thing is maintain a database of participants. Every tournament that I have, whether that's through USTA, UTR, anything, I have an Excel file and I data sort all those emails into my main database of 10,000 emails, and I maintain that. People get those emails and they know every single time that these are the events coming up. This is what's coming up. And they know what to expect from a tournament that I'm directing. That number one, you're going to have a great experience. You're going to play innovative formats, and you're going to get a lot of play for a low cost. $40, 3 draws, singles, doubles, mixed. That's to me what the secret sauce is giving that experience and mixing it up and not having the same stale type of formats every single event. And finally, the last thing, and again, I'm gonna, again, being fully transparent, I like to mix it up. I love to do USTA events. I like to dabbled with some UTR events and even some unsanctioned events. I think having a breakdown, my personal breakdown, I like to do about 60 to 70% of my events USTA, 20 to 30 UTR, and 10% unsanctioned is I'm catering to a lot of different people. The people that are really playing a lot of USTA stuff might be a little bit different than UTR, where with UTR, you're going to get people from really outside the area, or maybe people that don't play USTA events. Same thing. People that play USTA might not play UTR. And then you have your unsanctioned where, again, maybe people aren't members of either event. Maybe they're not USTA member. Maybe they're not UTR member. But the bottom line is that you're going to get a diverse following and get new players to help grow those events. So if I'm running a UTR event, I might now have people that are going to come play my USTA event the next time and vice versa. So that's again, in a nutshell, my presentation, talking a little bit about my story and also talking a little bit about what it takes for innovative tennis events, not just during the pandemic, but also post-pandemic. message is, and my closing, message to everybody is, don't be afraid to step outside the box. Try something innovative. Try 10-point tiebreakers. Try Fast Four. Try NTRP. Try multiple day events or multiple events in one day, whether that's a half-day event, a one-day event, even a 2 or 3 day event. Try different things. When you do that, you're going to be able to create a lot better following with not only your club, but the people outside that are going to be coming to your club or facility to play. And that's only going to benefit you not only in the long term, but also in the short term as well. Any questions? Do we have any questions from anybody? Anything in the chat box, Evan?
Right now we have one from Lori
Okay.
Santos, and the question is, how popular were unsanctioned events? Who came?
Okay, so unsanctioned events, and that's something that we did. I don't do a lot of unsanctioned. Obviously, my big one, as people know, is Hits for Hope, and that's unsanctioned. And the only reason I run that unsanctioned is simply because I give money back to charity. Every dime we get, we go back. It goes back into charitable cause. And what I found with that was the reason we get 200-300 players, we were able to pretty much compartmentalize that, where it's the same, not only the people that wanted to come back every year after year, but those players that were juniors, and then now they became college players, and then they evolved from that. Maybe they weren't necessarily playing league tennis. Maybe they weren't playing tournaments, but they wanted to come out and support the cause. They wanted to come out and support something and play for something bigger than themselves. So that's really where I found that. And that's kind of my only big unsanctioned event. My personal thing is, I don't think you're going to lose people if you make it sanctioned. I mean, that event is kind of its own unique entity, and it's unique into itself. UTR, USTA, I think if you really provide the experience and you have multiple events, it really shows people that power membership for UTR or your USTA membership is well worth the $44. And in the long run, that's going to give you much more than not. So unsanctioned's great, but I said, if you're going to run, don't just run 1 or 2 events, try to run 3 or 4. And that's going to invoke people to want to be members and really not worry about a membership. And I don't think it will hurt you in the long run or the short run.
Awesome. Great, Ryan. We have one more question at 7:58. So this will probably be our last one here.
Perfect.
We have one in the QA from Rich Neher. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How long does a Fast Four match typically last?
Great question, Rich. And that's something, so Fast Four, and again, the way Fast Four, you can say, all right, well, there's different types. It originated in Australia. There's all types of different ways to play Fast Four. The way we play Fast Four is sets to 4, win by 2. And our tiebreaker is at 3-3, and it's a regular 7-point tiebreaker. So we play to 7, win by 2. Our third set is a 10-point match tiebreaker. The other thing that you can do is you can play no ad scoring for the sets, and that also makes it quicker. We've used this format in junior team tennis. We've done it in adult tournaments. We've done it in unsanctioned. It lasts roughly about 45 minutes to 50 minutes is about the ballpark for each match. Sometimes, obviously, if it's a blowout, it might be 30 minutes, but at the longest, it's been no more than an hour. So I really like Fast Four over 8-game pro sets, because in an 8-game pro set, you have the opportunity to come back. And if a player gets up 5-0, there's no set break. They have to come back all the way from 5-0 down. In Fast Four, it gives you the ability, if you have a bad first set, now you have a fresh start in the second set, and you still have that 10-point tiebreaker. So to answer your question, about 45, 50 minutes, I like it because it's quick and we can get a lot of matches in and players can play a lot of opponents.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, we are at 8 o'clock on the dot. So Ryan, I'm going to take this time to thank you for giving your presentation. We're very lucky in Middle States to have somebody who is so innovative and just does so much outside the box stuff. And we're very fortunate to have you not only in Middle States but also present here. But Ryan, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap it up here?
No, I just want to say I really appreciate it, Evan, all your hard work. Great job. The whole conference has been phenomenal. And again, a shout out. Thank you to USTA Middle States for allowing me the platform here to present. And hopefully everybody was able to get something out of it. Quality, even if it's one or two things that they can take back to their own communities and clubs and facilities. So thank you guys very much.
No problem. Well, this is recorded, so we'll be getting it up online here in the next 24 hours or so. So feel free to, if anybody has any questions for Ryan, his info is on the screen there. But keep a lookout for the recording if you'd like to send us out to anybody. And that wraps up our second to last day for the tennis conference. We have one more day with 2 sessions. So we have a Michael Harper cardio tennis session tomorrow at 11, and we're wrapping up the entire tennis conference with a marketing communications session with our very own Michael Gladys and Lauren Simeon. So we're very appreciative of everybody who was able to jump on the call here. We hope everybody has a great evening, and we hope to see you at our last few sessions.